everyone. Today we're talking amplifiers. We're going to talk about some options that we have available, as well as what to look for when you're trying to pick an amplifier that best suits your motorcycle audio system. This is Brian with Diamond Audio. Let's hit the road with the Diamond Deep Dive. Amplifiers. Amplifiers might be the most important part of your motorcycle audio system. They need to be powerful and they need to be small. So here are two of our most popular amplifiers for motorcycle audio. The HXM series, which are big power in a relatively compact chassis. And then the Micro 8U series, which is by far one of our most popular series in the 4-channel, the 2-channel, and the 8-channel options that we have for them. Being that they are super compact with relatively good power. They are quite a bit more power than what we rate them at. This one's got wiring on it because we're going to use this as a piece for some stuff later on in the video series with some testing and showing you guys things to look at on test equipment. So the thing we're going to really cover with amplifiers is what to look for in an amplifier and what's important when you're looking at amplifiers. So let's get into that. RMS Power is basically what an amplifier can do all the time at the given resistance that it's running at a specific voltage. So you'll oftentimes see that the amplifier is rated to perform at 14.4 volts, or they may give you a 14.4 volt rating and a 12.8 volt rating. So kind of what it does while the vehicle's running versus what it will do while the vehicle is sitting and not charging. So there's two different numbers to know there, but most of us are going to provide you with a rating that's rated at 14.4 volts because that's typically what your vehicle operates at while it's running, and we really don't recommend running amplifiers for long periods of time with the engine off. So that being said, a lot of amplifiers, and this is very true with Diamond Audio amplifiers, the RMS rating is a conservative rating. So give you an example, a Micro 84U amplifier, which is one of our most popular compact 4 channels. It's rated at 90 watts by 4 at 4 ohms, but it actually puts out 135 watts per channel, all channels driven, meaning all the channels are running and it's giving you that kind of power out of each channel. So when you're looking at amplifiers, know that a lot of brands, their numbers are conservative. So if you are unsure, talk to the manufacturer or talk to a dealer that is very familiar with the product. Somebody will have that answer. Input sensitivity is the next one I want to talk about. This is often referred to as gain as well. There are a lot of misconceptions about how input sensitivity works. This is not a volume control. It's not just something you wire everything up and you just turn it up until you're happy with it. What this is designed to do is balance the signal to noise ratio and give you good output from your amplifier based on the input from your source unit or DSP. And what that means is we need to know the signal coming in and we need to measure it so to ensure that it is not a clipped signal coming into the amplifier, and then setting the output voltage based on that input so that we're getting a good clean signal all the way to the speakers to prevent any kind of damage or clipping which causes heat and will damage the speakers. So we will get a little more into this one, especially when we get to the test tools and start looking at how an oscilloscope works and how that benefits you when you're setting input sensitivity. Current draw is another important factor to consider when we're building motorcycle audio systems. We have such a limited amount of current available from the bike's electrical system that we have to be aware of this. So when you're looking at an amplifier and you see fuses on it, and you know, if you get an amplifier that has like a 40 amp fuse or two 20 amp fuses, the current draw on that amp is typically going to be about half of the fuse rating under normal operating conditions. So if you have 40 amps of fuse on the side of the amplifier, or that's what the recommendation is in the manual to tell you to put a fuse on if they don't have them on board, then your amp is typically going to draw between about 15 to 25 amps of current in normal operating situations. So we have to be aware of that when we start adding multiple amplifiers to our electrical system, which we're going to talk about that again in another video where we can get a little more in depth with that. But I wanted everyone to be aware that this is a factor we need to be looking at and thinking about when we're building these audio systems on our bikes, because we do have a limitation, so there's things to consider with that. Bandwidth is the frequency response that the amplifier is capable of playing. A lot of times when you see a full range amplifier like our 4-channel or any of our multi-channel amplifiers, they're going to have a bandwidth that plays somewhere between 10 and 20 hertz up to maybe 20 or 25 kilohertz or even more. Depending on the amplifier and the manufacturer, they can vary pretty greatly. But then if you get into like a monoblock that is specifically designed for subwoofers, they may only have a frequency band of say 5 or 10 hertz up to 250 or 500 hertz. Just really depends on the application that the amp is designed for. There are full range monoblocks available as well, so they can play a wider bandwidth than like something designed to be a subwoofer amplifier. But this is something to look at and be aware of when you're deciding how to pair amplifiers with speakers for what you need them to do. To go with bandwidth, we also want to look at crossover capabilities. And the reason this is important is we need to know if these amplifiers have a high pass or low pass crossover capability, or maybe both. Sometimes if you're doing a high pass, some of the amplifiers out there have like a times 10. So if your crossover goes like 40 to 400 and you hit the times 10 switch, then it makes that times 10, so it would go 400 to 4,000. So there's just different applications of crossovers, but we need to be aware of what our capabilities are if we're not using a radio that has crossovers built into it, a factory radio that doesn't have that option, or if we're not using a digital signal processor. Those become a little bit different, and crossover capabilities are widely expanded at that point. So with these specifications in mind, you should have a little bit better understanding of how to look for an amplifier and select one that works best for your application. As always, if you have any questions, reach out to a dealer that has qualified information on the products, or if you're looking at Diamond Audio product and you have questions, you're always welcome to contact us. The information to contact us is here, and feel free to reach out. We will give you as much information as we have available that we can share to help you make those best choices for your motorcycle audio system. Thank you once again to everyone for tuning in. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification to be informed when new videos go up on the channel. Thank you, and we'll talk to you soon on the Diamond Deep Dive.